Welcome to Setup Wars episode 304. I got another banger for you guys, so sit back and relax and let the show begin. Do you love RGB? If so, then you probably are forced to use multiple programs just to sync your devices, and half the time they don't even work properly. Well, now you can ditch the bloatware and control and sync your RGB devices with one free app. Signal RGB features over 200 customizable RGB effects like Pixel Wave. You also got some pretty cool audio visualizers, screen mirroring, and game integrations that make your setup react to your gameplay. Check them out now with my link below to unlock the full potential of your RGB setup. Alright, so kicking off the episode is a really clean double-stacked monitor setup by Corey, coming all the way from Ireland. He's an operations engineer who works from home, so he wanted to build a space where he can enjoy being at most of the day. I mean, if you're gonna work from the same spot all day and also game from the same spot, it definitely makes sense to invest a little bit more into it since it involves your work. He purchased all the gear and he put it together in just 3 days. We got a pin-up countertop with a few Alex units and a single Adil's leg in the center, which honestly wasn't necessary at all since he has both monitors mounted against the wall. So there is no direct weight applied anywhere in the center, but I guess it's better to be safe. He did go for wireless peripherals to keep things simple on the desk and cable-free. He's using a Joy Access wireless keyboard and a Razer Basilisk X Hyperspeed mouse. Moving on to audio, we got a set of Logitech speakers for the primary source, and for gaming, the HyperX Cloud Flight headset that he keeps against the Alex unit. You gotta keep in mind that this is also his work setup, so there has to be some elements in there to help reduce stress. We got that much needed white tea and neroli scented candle and some greenery. It's proven that green is a soothing color that can invite harmony and diffuse anxiety, but for actual stress management, blue is the color you wanna focus on. He does keep his MacBook on the desk that he swaps to for work on the go, and then we got a PS5 as well for those console exclusives. Are they still doing console exclusives? I feel like you can play all console games on the PC now. One thing I personally don't agree with is sticker bombing your PC or any expensive tech for that matter. It's like that one saying, you never put a bumper sticker on a Bugatti. Now of course a PC isn't anywhere near a Bugatti, but you get the idea. It just ruins the aesthetic if it's just randomly placed. But apart from that, I think you did a pretty good job decorating the rest of the setup. We even have a wall shelf up top holding up some collectibles, but I would spend a little bit more time on the cable management. You know, a few Velcro straps would help keep some of those wires from flaring out. Thank you, Corey, for sharing this with us nonetheless. Coming up next is another badass gaming setup. Kevin, who's an electrician from Austria, decided to build his first ever setup, and it took him only 6 months to complete. He does a bit of streaming here as well, which explains the triple monitors. We got a 32-inch 144Hz as the primary, a 24-inch up top for the overhead, and a third 27-inch on the side for reading chat and Discord. All the monitors are hooked up to an IKEA countertop with 2 Alex units with a lip in the front so that he can hook up some RGB strips underneath it for a nice glow. I do like the monitor layout though. This is pretty much the only option you have if you want to maximize the most space on your desk with triple monitors and still have space for your PC. So if you're someone that's going for a triple monitor setup on a small desk and you do want the PC on the top, consider going with this layout. Moving on to peripherals, we got a Habit gaming keyboard and a mouse combo in white to match the white and black color scheme. And then for audio, we got a set of Logitech Z200 speakers and the Astro A50 wireless headset for gaming. Side note, I do love how he laid out the speakers and placed the Stream Deck and the audio interface in the middle like that. It's very satisfying to see. One thing I would recommend, however, is to mount your webcam. I don't know why you have it sitting on the desk with a tripod when you can easily clamp it to your monitor or the desk and position it anywhere you want. Same thing goes for your camera. You have it on a tripod that just takes up too much space on your desk. Just get a desk clamp instead. Cable management, however, is pretty good. We got a couple of raceways keeping the wires hidden underneath the desk, and it looks like everything is plugged into the back of the right Alex unit. The PC powering it all is a custom build and Kevin's first ever gaming PC, and he definitely didn't cheap out. He went with the Ryzen 9 3900X with a Galax RTX 3070. I would move the GPU to the top PCI slot to take advantage of the extra performance, and I would move the AIO to the front of the case so that the tubes don't get in the way. And then you can place the fans from the front to the top for exhaust. Other than a few minor tweaks, I think the setup is still pretty badass. Thank you, Kevin, for sharing this with us. Bring on the floating desks, baby. That's what I love to see. Check out this badass floating desk setup by Mika, coming all the way from the Netherlands. Looks like he used up all the space on the IKEA desk with triple 27-inch MSI monitors. The desk itself was mounted against the wall with 3 triangle brackets for support. There isn't any space on the desk for the speakers, so he laid them down sideways, but he does switch over to the Razer Krakens for gaming. Now for peripherals, he is using the RK61 keyboard with a Razer Viper in white, and that's about all we got space for on the desk. He did have to keep the PC on the floor, but at least it's not on carpet. We got the Ryzen 5 5600X with an RTX 2060 Ti. If you're doing a floating desk, then you're after that minimal and sleek look, but the cables say otherwise. It kind of defeats the purpose of a floating desk look. Attach your power strip underneath the desk and use a few racks to keep the cables from sagging down. I think it will look a lot better. Also, if you end up mounting the monitors against the wall, you can use the extra space underneath it to store your charging station instead of keeping it tucked away in the corner, which is a bit far from reach. There's definitely still room for improvement, but well done so far on this epic floating setup, and thank you for sharing this with us. Speaking of epic, take a look at this Penta display battle station. This belongs to Neil, who is an online teacher from the UK, so you can imagine he needs a space where he can do that easily and also a place where he can game on his spare time. I don't know what it takes to be an online teacher, but I would imagine it requires a lot of monitors, 5 to be exact. So we got a 4K monitor as the primary in the middle. That's being sandwiched by 2 27-inch Lenovo monitors, but then we have a 27-inch MSI gaming monitor flipped on the top left, which is the only monitor with the highest refresh rate. So I'm guessing the setup isn't used much for gaming as it is primarily for work. It looks like all the monitors are hooked up to the sit and stand desk with a pull-out drawer for all the peripherals. This allows him to sit further from his desk, which is ideal with this many monitors. I love how everything is within reach. Starting with the left, we got the Razer Tartarus keypad, a couple of Elgato Stream Decks for quick access to apps, the Corsair K100 RGB, and a dark core mouse with a couple of mouse pads. I always imagine that teaching online is a bit like streaming on Twitch. You will need a dedicated microphone and possibly some good lighting, but teachers don't really take it that seriously. I've always seen them use a cheap webcam with a microphone from their AirPods or some cheap headset. But Neil over here is extremely dedicated. My guy's got a full-blown streaming setup as well, with multiple lights, a dedicated microphone, and multiple camera angles as well. Can we get this guy raised? Every online teacher should have a setup like this. Actually, now it makes sense why he has a pull-out drawer for his peripherals. He wants to keep the desk surface clear because he has a drop-down camera, so he probably does a lot of hands-on demonstrations. Now the setup does seem a bit cluttered for my taste, but he does have a ton of gear and he definitely did his best with the cable management. And plus, he did keep things nicely organized, so I gotta give him some credit. It's not easy pulling off a fully decked out setup like this. He even kept the PC off the ground. What a guy. We got a 10900K in here with 2 graphics cards, the RTX 3070 as the main and the RTX 2060 in the back. However, you do have the bottom fans facing the wrong way. You have them as exhaust instead of intake, so when you get the chance, make sure to flip them the other way so your case can get some additional fresh air. But other than that, this is a pretty badass teacher battle station, and yes, that's what I'm calling it. Thank you, Neil, for entering, and good luck on your teaching. Wrapping up the episode is a very unique and minimal setup by Reinold. It's mostly for music production and video editing, but he does use it for casual gaming sometimes. We have the setup built on a very clean desk he picked up from a furniture store. We have a pretty interesting monitor layout as well. A 42-inch up top, a 22-inch in the middle, and a 27-inch monitor on the bottom. Now you guys know I love a tilted monitor as much as the next guy, but I was kind of against the bottom display being that tilted. But then I found out it was a touchscreen, so it makes sense. It's easier to use a touchscreen monitor when it's flat against the desk. We got a Genesis Thor keyboard with a SteelSeries Rival 110 mouse with cables passing through the bottom monitor. I do like the speaker placement, probably one of the coolest ways to do a double speaker setup. We got 2 sets of shelves holding up both speakers, but the top set is actually sitting on a tripod behind the desk. I'm not sure how the bottom wall shelf is attached to the desk, but it was a good idea to stack them separately instead of putting the speakers on top of each other like we have seen before on the show. The PC part of the setup is nicely tucked away in the drawer with a cutout in the back to pass through the cables. He didn't care about building a flashy PC with RGB lighting and instead used that money towards better parts. After all, it's not visible anyway, so this was a smart move. The rest of the studio looks to be sound treated the right way with a bunch of acoustic panels and bass traps and even a sound diffuser as well for a little bit of decoration. It's always refreshing to see something new on the show. Thank you, Reinold, for sharing this with us. And that will do it for this episode. As always, make sure you guys comment below. Let me know which of these setups was your absolute favorite. And if you guys enjoyed the new season so far, do let me know by tossing a like before I head out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon in the next one.